here. Today I'll be showing you an in-depth Katarina guide pre-rework Season 6. This video will include a ton of information over what you will need to know about playing Katarina efficiently. Sadly, this video will not include counters, just because I already made a video about that called Katarina's Top 10 Counters and How to Beat Them. First, I'll be starting off with pros and cons. And these are my opinions, so if you feel differently, then that's you. This is what I think. Starting off with pros, Katarina gains a lot from a single kill, meaning that one kill could possibly have turned her into a beast, being able to wreck an entire team. I know someone out there is going to say that Katarina is highly unskilled because of this factor, but she will have to be careful about what she does or she can be shut down quite easily. Katarina is definitely a highly mobile champion that has a ton of burst damage, which makes her great at roaming and solo carrying, hence why she is labeled as an assassin. Moving on to the cons now, Katarina is very, very squishy, which is why she really depends on timing and positioning, because if not, she can be instantly deleted and useless. Her laning phase is not the best in the game since she has a ton of hard counters and she can be easily shoved out of lane. If Katarina is facing a CC heavy team, this makes her job as an assassin a lot harder, because if she gets one tick of CC, she is done and over with. Believe it or not, Katarina is in fact hard to master. Yes, I said it, hard to master. There's going to be someone out there that is going to rage in comments about why Katarina is extremely broken and should be nerfed, but I'm just telling you the indefinite truth. If you truly think she's easy as you think, try her out for yourself. Next, I'll be going over runes and masteries that I use for each and every game. I know that I probably shouldn't use one rune page for every game, but it's all I can afford at the moment, and this rune page tends to work out pretty well for most situations. These runes provide a great amount of sustain and burst damage, which is what you want to shoot for on Katarina. Feel free to switch anything up, but I'd highly suggest using these runes for health and damage. And yes, I know I only have two of the greater quintessence of ability power, but finally, I now have 3. I took this picture when I had just 2. On the other hand, I actually use 2 mastery pages. One if I need a little more sustain and damage, which is this one, I think. Yeah, and then one for if I need more damage over sustain. I mainly use the one on the left when I'm against a lot of CC champions and I feel there's a chance I could easily be killed. And I use the one on the right for when I'm against a team with little to no CC and they have a lot of squishy champions. So let's take a look and examine. Beginning with the build, now I'm going to begin with builds. Now I'll start off with starting items and consumables. Run the starting items on the left if you feel not so confident against your matchup. I mainly take this one when I'm against someone such as Yasuo, Fizz, Zed, etc. It provides a nice amount of health, and health regen will help you stay in lane a lot longer. The starting items on the right I'll take against more favorable matchups such as Syndra, Lux, Morgana, etc., where I know I'll be able to kill them at least once or twice. The Dark Steel will help get me snowball Dark Steel will help me snowball due to the fact that every killer assist will grant me ability power. It also increases healing from potions, which is a great addition as well. For consumables, I would highly recommend getting health potions and 2 vision wards every time you back. This will help you stay out a lot longer and help you survive ganks and emergencies. Get these until you have no more room for items. For consumable elixirs, I'd suggest only getting these after you are full build. You need to use money to rush your build as quick as you can to either stay caught up or get ahead, instead of using gold on these elixirs. These elixirs are definitely your choice on which you want to get, but you need to get one of these after you have full build. Now I'll be moving on to the builds. There are actually 3 different types of builds. One against ability power, one against attack damage, and one against hybrid. starting off with ability power. Each build has 3 subcategories, one for each situation. Alright, now I know probably most people don't do this, but I'm going to start doing this. These are going to be your stats that you will have if you use all of these runes and masteries that I provided you with and take these. So just go ahead and read over this. This build is great for when the enemy team has a fed ability power carry or is ability power heavy. Highly effective against mobile APCs such as Ari, Fizz, Colleen, etc. Already done the math and everything, and these will be your stats. Secondly, this is the one against CC with no tanks. This build will be good for when the enemy team is extremely squishy and you are sure you can pick up at least 2 or 3 kills at once. Take a moment to read over that. This build is also great if the enemy has a squishy lane that you can surely roam to, burst down and get fed off of. Thirdly, no CC and no tank. This build is ideal against extremely squishy comps with little no CC where you know you have a huge advantage over the entire team. Take a moment to read over the stats. Moving on to situational magic resist items. These may seem weird, but I'll lighten it up for you. You can substitute Banshee's Veil, Guardian Angel, or Hextech Gunblade with any of these 3 items. Spirit Vice Sage is good for when you need to be a bit more tanky against APCs and you have a healer on your team. It'll help you last in fights. Mercurial Scimitar. This item is amazing against APCs that have a channeled CC. Abilities such as Malzahar, Warwick, or someone with a root or snare such as Lux or Morgana. Provides you with damage, W and R, scale from AD2, don't forget about that. Magic resist, lifesteal, which really isn't that useful, and the passive, which is why you mainly want this item. I wouldn't suggest upgrading to Mercurial Scimitar until after you have all of your other items, so I would suggest just saving Quicksilver Sash until then. Maul of Malmortius. This is where people kind of start feeling iffy about why they're still watching this video, but just hang in there. This item is great if you keep easily getting bursted down due to the passive shield and the passive spell vamp. So don't forget about that. Because Maul Malmortius grants you 10% spell vamp until you're out of combat. And a really, really great shield. I wouldn't suggest upgrading to that either until after you've built all your other items. So just take a moment to read all over this. Moving on to the second build variation, Katarina versus attack damage. Great for fed AD enemies or if they are AD heavy team. This build is great for comps where you can't burst them down due to them building tank. Zhonya's and Guardian's Angel will provide you with a huge amount of survivability due to their passives. So, if you die once, you get revived. If you're about to die, you can Zhonya's. So, ideal against ADCs, AD assassins, bruisers, etc. Take a moment to read the stats if you will. Moving on to the second variation of this armor build, CC, but with no tanks. This build provides you with high survivability and very high burst damage. Great for extended fights and taking down those pesky ADCs. Take a moment to read the stats. Hold on. Okay. Final variation of the armor build is no CC and no tanks. This build is extraordinary for bursting down a person or two and still being able to make it out with a good amount of the health. Take a moment to read the stats if you will. These 4 items are substitutes for Guardian Angel if you feel that's not what you really need. Thornmail is great for those fed, I don't know why I said it like that, but Thornmail is great for those fed ADCs or anyone that is heavily reliant on basic attacks for damage, like Jin Zhao or Master Yi, Caitlyn, someone like that. Homewrecker is good for when you have a lot of opportunities to tower dive to get a kill and still make it out. If the team, or if the enemy team we're facing keeps staying under a tower half health, then you can get Homewrecker if you want, but it's really your choice. Now, Dead Man's Plate is good for more mobility and more sustain. And also, don't forget that the passive deals damage, and whenever you E onto someone, you automatically auto-attack right after, so the passive is still efficient. And the Sunfire Cape is good for when you find yourself being in the middle of a fight a lot due to the passive. Moving on to the last build, Katarina versus Hybrid Comps. This one is a bit harder to pull off just because it's harder to build against hybrid comps, but these builds will still get you through. Hybrid CC with tank build. Provides you with a pretty decent amount of armor and magic resist and a pretty good amount of damage. Basically this build is a little bit of everything, so take a moment to read the stats if you will. This build provides you with slightly less armor and magic resist, but with a ton more damage. Great for when you are getting ahead and still have opportunities for snowballing. Take a moment to read the stats if you will. I know. There's basically no difference between this build or this build that I just showed you before, but the difference lies in the boots. If you have no CC, then why should you need tenacity? Because don't forget, these boots give you tenacity and these boots don't. Same stats as the last build, but with slightly more armor and the minus 12% from basic attacks and no tenacity. So, if you read the last stats, you should already know this one. If you haven't, then just go ahead and pause and read. These are the substitutes for Abyssal Scepter or Zanya's. Get Zerat's Portal if you find a lane constantly always getting pushed in. It also provides you with armor and magic resist, so that's a plus. I've already gone over why Spirit Visage is a good item, so I don't need to say anything about that. Also already said things about Dead Man's Plate and Sunfire Cape. Wait, what? Did I say Dead Man's Plate? Yeah. So, yeah. Moving on to ability path. There are 2 paths that you can take, maxing Q first or maxing W first. Most people max Q first, but I don't really find it that great because I max W first. Always use this path since W's damage scales more into the game than Q does and will help you kill people faster. W deals a lot more damage at once and has a lower cooldown, so you'll definitely be able to do a lot more damage with the W. And I use this path whenever I find myself absolutely not being able to farm within melee range of minions, or when I need to poke, or if, like, my matchup is really horrible. Now I'm going to move on to the combos. Most of you may already know all of these, but, you know, it's nice to find things out. And these are the combos that I use for CSing and harassing the enemy. So, my CSing combos are Q and W, so just the standard AA and W. And also, you can W right in the middle of an auto attack and your auto attack will still go off. So, don't forget about that. It helps you get more damage in at once. Q and AA, that's a good one. Or you can just mash them together in Q and AA plus W. Or Q plus W, AA, and W. Harassing combos. You can Q onto the enemy. If you're gonna harass an enemy that you're in reach of, I would suggest using Q on them initially instead of bouncing it, so you know that you absolutely hit them. And then you can either E onto them or E to a nearby minion and then push W straight after. But whenever you do that, you need to get ready to dodge anything that they might throw at you. So the movement speed from W will be good. Or a harder one, you could Q, AA, and W, then E out if you're close enough. Or you could Q, W, and then E out if you're close enough. Or if you have lane dominance, you could just go ahead and Q and W. Now, fighting, some of these have two different combos for a situation. So if you're going in, you can Q plus E plus W plus R, which is a little bit safer than doing the E plus Q plus W plus R, because Q, you can actually for sure know that you're getting the Q off. But if you use the second one, you're just going to E in and then risk getting CC'd or something, so you won't be able to QW. So I would recommend the first one if you're not used to the second one. So whenever you get a reset from a kill and there's somebody else, you need to jump on the next person you see with the lowest health, so you can get another reset. Basically, Katarina in fighting is all about the resets. Try to get as many resets as you can so you can use her to her full potential. So yeah. And whenever you get a reset, try to E and W onto the lowest target. Or if you're fast enough, you can Q EW if you need a little bit more damage. And if you're... okay, I didn't need to do that. If you're about to die, you can either Zanya's E out and Q, or you can just E out and then Q the enemy. Now, I wouldn't suggest throwing the Q in there if you really actually need to get away and you're about to die. Only Q if, like, you know that you can still continue fighting. So if you're chasing, I know chasing, a lot of people don't recommend it, but I only recommend chasing for like 2 seconds. So don't chase all the way across the map, because that is really unnecessary. So it's better if you use Zanya's, so you can know that you'll catch up to them. If you're not in range of them, but like you're literally the ever so slightest close to them with E, you can just go ahead and ward E jump, or ward jump, QW them. So with the ward jump, you'll close a little bit more distance between you and the target. I don't know why that keeps switching. So running away. This is good to know. So if you have a ward, you can either W for the movement speed, which I would recommend, even though I put optional. You can W, then ward E. So the movement speed from the W will help you gain a little bit more distance between you and the enemy. Now if you're helping an ally escape, this is only useful if you have Rylai's, because you don't have any CC in your kit, so Rylai's will help slow the enemy. So just go ahead and W them, or throw anything you can on them to slow them down so your ally will escape. So if you're surrounded, which hopefully you aren't, and hopefully you can avoid the situation, but if you are actually in this situation, try your best to E to the farthest isolated target. So let's say to the left of you there are 3 enemies, okay? And then to the right of you there's 1 enemy. Jump to that enemy and W and start running. Try not to cross paths with them. Try not to run straight ahead. Like if you're... Okay. If someone comes up behind you, absolutely do not try to run back to your turret, because you will cross paths with them, and this is not what you need. So try to either run into the jungle so you can ward hop away or something. So yeah, hopefully you understand what I mean. So the goal is to just avoid as many enemies as you can, obviously, because that is basically the point of the game, is trying not to die. Because if you don't die, then the enemy doesn't get gold and you get ahead of them and stuff. So if you're caught in a fight, you have to be really, really quick with this. You need to Zanyas, if you can Zanyas, then W and ward hop out really, really, really quickly. Now you don't have to W, but there's a nearby minion that you can jump to. You don't have to ward either, but hopefully you understand the concept that I'm trying to tell you. Now Assassination, when an enemy is isolated by themselves, if they're low health and under tower and you absolutely know that you have enough damage to kill them really, really quickly and then get out, what you want to do is press E, like E to them. Don't be in range of them when you E to them, but E to them. Flash. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to get at. If your flash and E is equal the same distance between you and the enemy, then if you press E and then flash, E will still go off after the flash automatically by itself. So that's a good thing. Hopefully you understand. Flash E, W, and ward E out very quickly, and the enemy probably won't expect it. So if the enemy is smart, they won't recall under tower. But if you absolutely know you can get the kill, then just go ahead and do that. Now if someone is not warding, but recalling out in the open for some unknown reason, and you know that you can kill them, you can ward E. You don't have to, but if you can catch up to them, just go ahead and use E, and then QW. You can QEW, but EQW puts out damage faster, so it's a good thing to know. After catching the jungler getting a buff at low health, you can just Q the buff and then it will bounce off onto the enemy, and then you can E onto the enemy and W and kill them and get the buff, so it's great thing. Now we'll go over early, mid, and late game. Now in the early game, your goals are to not die and to farm. Katarina doesn't have a great early laning phase, so you just need to not die. And CS trade against melee champions. What this means, if you don't know what it means, is if you have the advantage in lane and you're against somebody like Kali or Fizz that has basic attacks that like attack really close to each other, you know what I mean, I hope, then you need to stand between your minions and the enemy, so the enemy will not be able to farm or anything, hence putting your enemy behind. If you have an advantage in lane and you're ahead, then look for opportunities to roam. But if you absolutely cannot lane at all, then you can roam. The only time you don't need to roam is when there's somebody that's pushing lane extremely hard, somebody like Malzahar that can take it down a wave really quickly. Now, sensing a gank, if the enemy is acting abnormal and stepping out of their boundaries and like playing extremely aggressive, then that probably means that you're going to be ganked, so just back off for a second. This doesn't always mean that they're going to gank, that somebody's about to gank, but it's precautions that you need to be taking. So don't forget to ward and everything, so yeah. Favorable matchups, which I know I said I wouldn't go over matchups, but somebody like Lux or something that you know that you'll be able to win in lane, you can go ahead and either kill them or roam since you have the advantage. So mid game, you need to get as much kill participation as you can, even if you don't get the kill or even if you just throw a Q. You need to get ahead as much as you can so you can snowball as hard as you can, and you need to hide out in the jungle or roam around while hiding, try to get as many kills as you can. And don't forget, if you go to a lane to gank, even if you didn't get the kill, you still need to at least do something, get CS or help get the turret. Now in the late game, all that matters is fighting and objectives. Already went over how to fight and everything, so you already know that. And you need to get objectives, which is like towers. Towers are over dragons, inhibitors are over towers. I don't know, there's 10 different objectives, which is like over each one. So now I'll actually go over the fighting, all about fighting. Now, when to go in. Only go in when the enemies have either used their most important abilities or all the CC has been used. Don't go in if you know for sure that there is at least one CC ability or one major ability, because if you do, then you're either going to get killed or not do any or have no progress in that fight. So it's basically not worth it. Or go in when there's an extremely low chance that you can burst down and have an escape method. Now if you can burst them down and take at least 2 or 3 of them with you, then go ahead, go ham. But if you know that you can probably die, then don't go in. Let your front line do the work first and then go in. Try not to be with the front line or anything. Try to come from the fog of war, from either a bush, from the jungle, from across the wall, something so the enemy doesn't expect you, so you can pick up some kills and get resets and everything. Now lastly, I'm going to go over tips and tricks. There isn't much that I haven't said already, so just go ahead and ignore this hopping right here, because I already went over ward hopping, so just go ahead and ignore that. W speed buff is really good to escape or catch up to an enemy, so these two things tie together really well, so just keep that in mind. Stealth champions. If you're in range of a stealth champion of your ult, even if you cannot see them, your ult will be able to be activated. So let's say that you're against a Teemo or somebody like Evelyn, or not Evelyn because when she comes in range she shows up. Somebody like Shaco or Teemo that can go invisible. If you're right beside them, your ult will become active and you can use it. So if you know that you can kill them with your ult, then go ahead and let it free. Just use your ult and maybe you can kill them while they're stealthed, and they'll probably rage at you and be like, oh my god, I can't believe you just killed me. So if they're that dumb, they'll probably stay stealthed right beside you. I don't know why they would, but yeah. So this is my in-depth Katarina guide. If there's anything else that y'all guys want to know, just go ahead and tell me below in the comments, and I'll try to go ahead and make a video about it. I'm sorry that this is an extremely late video, but you know, I've been just working on it and everything. Didn't know if I should post it or not because I didn't know if it was a good video or not, but you know, this is all that I can think about that I should tell you guys. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me how you guys like the new Earth, which is the all random. Me personally, I didn't like it at first because I thought it was purely based on luck. Because either one team gets bullshit champions or the other team gets like freaking entire CC stacked. So thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe. I'm not sure if I already said that, but yeah.